What's the word for when something is the first episode or something?
Inaugural.
Welcome to the inaugural episode, of my new endeavor, Movies with Interesting People, where I take an interesting person and we go to the movies. This week is the Melbourne International Film Festival, so we're starting off at the film festival, and actually we're going to see 3 movies today. And here I have with me is my friend Miriam Umaña.
It's Umaña.
This is my friend Miriam Umaña. And I consider Miriam an interesting person. One of the only reasons you ever really cancel plans is because you're helping somebody. I don't really have a question about that.
Thank you. I don't think you've ever said that directly to me outside the context of this podcast, so it's nice to hear. I think that I just came out like this. I think it's just been this really, really foundational thing for me the entire time that I've been alive. Maybe growing up as a person who often needed help. I don't really have any hobbies. I just have to be with people, and I just have to understand them. And
you know what? That's the perfect segue to my next point of interest. But although before we do, I'll just reveal my eyes for like a hot second. Here they are. And now I'm putting my sunglasses. And here's our food. Amazing. Yes. We're at a cafe called 10 Square in Melbourne. It's scrambled eggs. What'd you get?
Mushrooms on gluten-free toast.
Miriam is also gluten-free, which is
Not that interesting.
really interesting. How's your food?
Delicious. Perfect.
Bottomless batch brew from Duke's, which is my 3rd preferred coffee vendor in Melbourne. By the way, bottomless means they keep filling it up, but you know what? They haven't fucking filled it up yet, have they? I'm going to read an excerpt from The Unbearable Lightness of Being. Reminder. What can I say about my tiny notebook? All we are able to imagine is what makes everybody like everybody else. The individual I is what differs from the common stock. That is, what cannot be guessed at or calculated, what must be unveiled, uncovered, conquered. Using numbers, we might say that there is 1/millionth part dissimilarity to 999,999 millionth part similarity of the bottomless batch brew. Thomas was obsessed by the desire to discover the 1/millionth part, the 1/millionth part that makes a woman dissimilar from others. So it was a desire not for pleasure, but possession of the world that sent him in pursuit of women. Now, what he's saying is, we know most of what a person's going to be, but there's a sliver in every person that we don't know. That's going to be different. 1/millionth of a person is what separates them from another person, and we can never guess what that is going to be. Therefore, it isn't sort of a sex addiction that sends him after women, but a willingness to understand the entire human condition, 1/millionth part at a time. When I met Miriam, we had this sort of conversation about this curiosity about the human condition. If Miriam hears something that's different, a lot of people, when they hear something very different, they recoil. She always has a response that is kind of like, interesting, tell me more. There's not really anything that I've ever told her that Miriam will recoil and just sort of go like, no, ick. It's always like...
Yeah, I think about that first conversation all the time. The metaphor that I think you used first was like that you have a little bag of experiences where you're like collecting things for your little bag. I think if I can kind of read from another person that they are a curious, interested, compassionate person, then I'm endlessly thirsty, I would say.
That's why the relationship is really enriching for both of us. We're now going to see a movie at Miff, wonderful broadsheet edition of the Miff pamphlet, which I appreciate quite a lot. The movie we're seeing right now is Tuesday. Tuesday is an A24 film with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She's dying, and there's a omen of death that's in the form of a macaw. I'm expecting this to be an absolute wank. Well, anyway, we better go because Miff doesn't have any assigned seating, and we'll be back after Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye. It wasn't a movie about Julia Louis-Dreyfus dying. She's a mother and her daughter is dying. First thoughts off the bat?
It was definitely one where I felt like I had to release myself to it. Like I had to make a decision to embrace exactly what it was. And then my experience changed quite a bit.
You mean the hokiness of the macaw?
Yeah, 100%.
There's only one movie I've ever seen where a talking animal was kind of great, and that is The Witch.
The goat?
The goat, Black Phillip.
Yes, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so the movie was about her coming to terms with the death of her daughter. I just lost a family member that's 15 years old from cancer. His husband was called Neria. He died about 1.5 months ago. So obviously it made me think about him, which made me pretty upset. When it comes to children dying, from my experience, even though I might have confronted that in movies before, nothing really prepared for me for what it really is like when a child is dying, what they look like, what they sound like, the pain that they're in, and I think it's almost impossible to capture that on film.
How closely do you think it approximated the experience?
Not even close. Like, she was so strong and robust. Also her sitting there having like a coffee and toast. Like, you're saying she was in pain, but the kind of pain Neria was in, the joke that mother was making when she was pushing on the couch, it would have had him writhing in pain. It's impossible to approximate such a thing, nor would we want the film audience to endure it. So it is what it is. Next movie now, Mongrel, Thai workers in aged care and the abuse of workers in aged care in Thailand. So
let's go, baby.
Let's go. All right, let's go. Fuck it. So we just came out of Mongrel. What did I say about it before? That it was about the abuse of Thai aged care workers? And I would extend that to just assisted living workers. So there was aged care, but there was also disability care, and it takes place in Taiwan. My first comment about this movie is just a general comment. It told us absolutely nothing. You're just sitting there being like, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on? Still not sure what was going on.
I can't remember seeing something that was just complete, unrelenting misery.
Yeah.
Ceaseless misery.
I thought the way that everyone was speaking, it was like they were barely alive. The amount of misery we saw in this movie was so much.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hope I haven't ruined anything.
No, you're perfect. Some of it was beautifully done, but to me it was more like, what is the fuck is going on here? The aspect ratio was actually square. I was sat there measuring with my fingers.
Oh, is that what you were doing? It's a really claustrophobic atmosphere within the film. You know, the heater is like rotating and kind of casting gold into the room and like making a kind of this shuddering sound.
With the insulin injector. That's just enough so we recognize the sound of loading that's different from injecting. Even though the mother's face is turned away that she's committing suicide. Then the shot goes back to him. And then back to her, and it's an empty wall because at that point she's laid down, she's died. If I'm at attention in a movie, focused, to me, that's my measure of it being a good movie. Successful.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, we're going to one more movie. It's called Simon and the Mountain, I want to say.
Of the Mountain.
Simon of the Mountain. Not at all lighthearted. And Miriam...
Gonna barf.
Psychosis themes happening there. This guy is pretending to be disabled. Thought it would be goofier than that. Anyways, I don't know what to say about this movie. I've run out of words.
More or less the same page.
Thanks for coming on my first ep.
You're welcome. I love you, Freda.
If you're watching this and you think you're interesting and you live in Melbourne, and you have time, you can reach out and tell me why you think you're interesting. Or if you think that you know someone that's interesting, let them know. But that's a wrap on that one. The episodes won't usually be this long because we saw 3 movies. Okay, bye.
Bye.